every single one of you.
I want you to deal with your problems by becoming rich.
This is my home. They're gonna need a wrecking ball to take me out of here.
Good day, everybody, whether it's morning, evening, or anywhere in between. Welcome to unRekt Traders. Today we're going to look at Internet Computer Protocol, ICP, and we are on the machine right now looking at the monthly. Again, not a ton of data to look at, but we do have the support at 12.95 and then our resistance at 22.18. So the 10 is kind of coming down, but still above the range. So, even if it did come into that range, we'd be looking at coming to support at 13.12. We'll go into the weekly here. On the weekly, so on the weekly, we have the 10 coming down. Again, no mean reversion in effect, but we do have support on the 20, which we are currently sitting on right now. So price did come down to that 20, 16.43. Then we have the 3.2 for our top resistance at 23.28. If the 10 does come into the range, then we could see price move down into 14.21. But again, well, we have 1 day left on the weekly here. So starting next week, there's that possibility that we do push down to that 10, 14.28. And then we have the support sitting at 12.97. That 12.97 would be pretty strong for next week anyway. So we could push down to that, basically to that 10, maybe the 50, and then go from there. And we can also see from this candle here that, when the 10 did break down, we did have that mean reversion to the 10, and then price did push down. And again, we had the mean reversion on the 20 starting in February, and then we did have that mean reversion on the 20. Again, the 100 held as support, and so did the 50 because we were above the plus 100. So when we had that wick down, that was a nice long, because we knew that price had to close above the 50, which it did. So in this aspect here, we were looking at least a 10% long off that 20 no matter what, because of where things were sitting. So we're kind of seeing the same thing right now where we can't get below this 20 because it's above the range. But next week, in a day, we could see the 10 push down. We get to move down to here, possibly to that 50, and then we'll see where the 20 white's sitting. If it's still above that range, then we know the body can't close below wherever the 20 support is at. Coming into the daily. On the daily itself, we have pretty strong support on the 200 at 15.31, and the 100 as well, which is at 16.07. The 50 just kind of came into that range. It's just skimming along the top. So what we'll likely see is we'll see price kind of ride the top of that 50 as it kind of expands out. We'll see the 50 riding that resistance line at 17.45 currently. The 10 is coming up from the bottom, so we do want to see price come up into that 10, which is at 17.63. So we'll see if the 50 holds for resistance. If it doesn't, then we could see the pop up, possibly try to get up to this resistance area at 19.40. But what we could see happen, and which is probably more than likely, is we'll see the price kind of flow along the top of the 50 as the 50 expands out for a day or so. And then as the 10 resets, then we'll push back down and likely come to support on the 100, which is yellow at 16.10, or to the 15.28. We still have the mean reversion coming, it wants to come to the 50, but because of where the 10 is, it's going to try and pop out one more time. 4 hour. On the 4 hour itself, we have the 50 mean reversion sitting at 17.68. We've almost already had the 20. It's more or less already hit for the most part. And the 10 is climbing up. So we could see try to get above this 20. We might get that, it might actually kind of push down depending on how this 10 reacts in a little bit. So this 10 could kind of come up and then back down. And then when that happens, we won't get above that 20, maybe just a little bit, and then try and go in the trend to the downward direction and come to this possible target on the 200 purple, which is 15.35 kind of range. So we could see possibility of trying to get a little higher before coming down. And then if we look at this candle here, on this impulse candle, we have a little bit of imbalance, kind of like in this little range. So we could see price come into this little target area here, which is our possible target. Try to get to the 50 and then push down to the 200 down here. All right, let's take a look at the Nexus here. And on the Nexus, higher time frames. Let me zoom out in time a bit so we can see it better. All right, so nice thing about this down here, and these were targets for the scored. But when we were down here, we had the naked yearly. You can see that price literally did pump up into there. And if we go from the shelf here, we pretty much have that 125% to the 255%, 260%. So we're kind of just at the top of that yearly right now, where we're finding our resistance is kind of what we would expect. And then once we get past this yearly level, if we do, then we'd be looking at coming into that yearly R2 and then up to the R3 kind of thing. So, but as of right now, we are hitting the top of the previous year's resistance range. And then we kind of collapse down back into this quarterly. Now, technically, because this yearly is lower than the previous pivot, still within the range, it's a neutral bear. So we would be looking for a continuation to the downward direction until it broke this upper range, which it has done. And then once we broke the upper range, you're looking at the previous year high. So we pretty much got that right away for the most part. So we got it a couple times actually. So on the quarterly, itself, I think the quarterly is in here. I can't really see it right now. Let me take the yearly off. So the quarterly is the same as the yearly. But again, looking for that continuation in the upward direction because we have a three ladder step up. And then we are looking for that continuation. So unless price breaks this 1525, then we are looking for the continuation in upward direction to take it to previous 3-month high and likely come to that 3-month R1 at 2332. Coming into a smaller time frame so we can see these levels better. On the monthly, again, continuation to the upward direction, looking for price to break up above the range and take it previous month high. If we do fall below the monthly at 1580, then we're looking at the previous month low or the monthly S1. So monthly S1 sitting at 1258, previous month low sitting at 1057. Now if price does fall through this lower range, then this is our next support level. We kind of hope that it would hold. Now this does look like a naked weekly, which I believe that it is. So this is a naked weekly sitting in here. So we do have a possibility of price actually coming back to this range level actually at 1367 or just to the top of it at 1441. Now it doesn't mean it's going to happen right away, but you know, the probability of price coming back to here is pretty high. And then if we look at the weekly levels, weekly level, yeah, that is a naked, so high probability to come back to here. But as of right now, let me just bring up my brush mark, and we are looking for that continuation in the upward direction until we break the lower weekly, which we have done. So we are kind of expecting to come to here. Now the only caveat is that monthly was sitting there and we're sitting on the current monthly pivot. So we really want to get below that pivot to be able to come down into these range levels down here. And then once we break the previous month high, then we can look at coming up into this weekly R1 previous week high kind of thing. So that's kind of what I'm seeing on Internet Computer. If you like the content, hit the like and subscribe. Helps out the channel, helps us grow. And we'll see you guys in the next one. God bless.
Visit unRekt.me and download our free powerful indicators. And join our community of traders in our Discord server and get full access to the Machine Suite Indicators, the Nexus Suite Indicators, and the Nexus Screener.